I sat rigid in the dim corner of local beans, my earbuds silent, when my girlfriend's ladder sliced through the air like a jagged blade. I'll brutally dump him after he proposes. She crowded to her friends, her voice dripping with venom, oblivious that I was just feet away, hearing every word. He's such a fool. Jason's already booked our Cabo trip for the next day. She sneered, her cold glee shredding 3 years of my life in an instant. My coffee went bitter in my mouth, hands trembling as her plan to let me kneel, beg, then laugh in my face sank in. The booth hid me, but nothing shielded the gut punch of her betrayal. Her friends giggling as she mocked my Timex watch, my basic lighter. 2 days she was pounding my intercom, sobbing forgiveness, her smug world in ashes. That morning at the cafe, I'd recorded it all. Every cruel word. Every lie. And as her laughter faded out the door, my rage hardened into something sharper. She thought she'd scripted my humiliation, but I'd rewrite the ending. What unfolded next wasn't just revenge. It was justice, and she'd never see it coming. Hey everyone, I'm Brent, 29 years old. And let me tell you about the day my world imploded. A moment that gutted 3 years of love, when I overheard my girlfriend of that time plotting to turn my proposal into her punchline. We'd met at a housewarming party, her smile catching me off guard over cheap beer and small talk, and last year, we'd moved in together. Me thinking it was forever, her apparently eyeing the exit. She'd been dropping hints. Ring pics on Instagram, wedding venue chatter. And I'd been planning to propose next month, imagining her saying yes. That cafe morning shattered it all. I'm just a regular guy. Work a steady job, pay the bills, wear a Timex in 2025 because it keeps time fine. And I thought she was my partner, my future. Turns out, I was her mark. Looking back, it's a jagged puzzle I didn't piece together sooner. 3 years. Cooking dinners, splitting rent, mostly met. Her kissing me goodnight. Felt real, but her laughter at local beans peeled back the mask. He's predictable, she'd said, like I was a dog she'd trained. While she'd been stashing cash, plotting with Jason, a work friend whose Instagram cameos I'd brushed off. My hands shook as I sat there, recording her confession, her friends egging her on. I'll laugh in his face, she'd bragged, and I saw it. Every late night, work shift, every dodge question, thread of lies I'd been too blind to pull. That wasn't love, it was a con. 2 days later, she'd scream for mercy, but in that booth, I swore she'd pay. Not with tears, but with the wreckage of her own making. That morning at Local Beans was a quiet ambush I never saw coming. I'd settled into my back corner booth. Laptop open, earbuds in but off. Trying to focus on work, the hum of coffee grinders a steady drone. Then her laugh hit me sharp and familiar, from the table behind the tall divider. Patricia and her crew, Gladys and Mary, didn't see me, their voices spilling over like they owned the place. I almost called out, but my name stopped me cold. Brent's so predictable, she snorted, her tone icy, crueler than I'd ever heard. He's been browsing rings, I saw his history. God, he's a fool. My stomach dropped, coffee forgotten, as Gladys whispered. You're really doing it. Of course. Patricia fired back. I'll let him propose. Big speech, one knee. Then I'll laugh and dump him. Jason's got Cabo booked. Every word was a punch. Her mocking my trust. Her friends giggling as she bragged about living rent-free in my apartment, about Jason's car, his parties. 3 years. Mary hesitated, but Patricia scoffed. I've barely paid for anything. Brent's basic. Still wears a Timex. My phone trembled in my hand as I hit record, capturing it all. Her plot to humiliate me, their clinking ice cubes a sick soundtrack. He's wrapped around my finger. She hissed, and I pictured it me kneeling, her laughing, them jetting off. Rage simmered, but I stayed still, invisible, as they left. Her car peeling out with that same carefree cackle. Alone. I replayed it. 3 years a lie, my love a joke. That recording wasn't just evidence, it was my weapon, and I'd wield it when she least expected. 3 years with Patricia felt like a movie I'd starred in blind. Every scene I thought was love now replayed as deceit. We'd met through friends, her dark hair catching the light at that party, her teasing me about my IPA choice sparking something warm. Moving in last year, my name on the lease, her stuff blending with mine. Seemed like a step to forever. She'd cook pasta, I'd fix the sink, and we'd laugh about dumb TV shows. Perfect, I'd thought, even when she'd nudge me toward marriage. Showing me rings, hinting at Giovanni's for anniversaries. I'd saved for that princess. Cut diamond. Picturing her tears of joy. How had I missed the cracks? Looking back, they were glaring, her late work nights, her phone always buzzing, her dodging my questions with a kiss. I'd chalked it up to stress. Trusted her when she'd say, just the girls. While I paid the bills, cooked alone. That cafe confession rewrote it all. I've barely paid for anything, she'd bragged, like I was her ATM, not her partner. Jason's name had popped up. Instagram stories, work drinks. And I'd waved it off, too naive to dig. He's basic. She'd sneered. And it stung. My Timex, my steady life, things I'd thought she loved, now her punchlines. 3 years of my heart, my home, handed to a woman who'd scripted my downfall. The rage wasn't just at her. It was at me, for believing the lie, for not seeing her play me until she laughed it out loud. That recording burned in my pocket. A lifeline to the truth I'd almost lost. After the cafe I turned cold. Rage morphing into focus as I hunted proof to bury her plan. I wasn't storming out or begging, I'd outsmart her. First, I made a fake Instagram, some random handle, and followed Gladys and Mary, her loudmouth friends who posted everything. Within days, I had screenshots. Patricia kissing Jason at bars. His arm around her in my hoodie, her promise ring glinting like a taunt. Thursday night, I hit a tie joint near her office. Spotted them sharing pad thigh, her wiping his chin, their feet tangled under the table. I sat at the bar, beer in hand, filming discreetly, their oblivious giggles fueling my resolve. She didn't see me, she never did. Next, I cornered Gladys at the grocery, her eyes widened, panic flashing as I smiled, casual. How was the cafe, I asked, watching her stammer. Oh fine, gotta go. She mumbled, but I pressed. Patricia's swamped with work, huh? Late meetings. She sweated, bolting after I flashed a fake ring pic from Google. Her call to Patricia came 5 minutes later. My phone pinging with her fake sweet, dinner soon babe. Jacob, my buddy at her company, dug deeper. Jason wasn't just a fling, he was mid-divorce, lying to her about leaving his wife. I stockpiled it all, photos, clips, text from her unlocked phone. He'll propose soon. Jason says we'll go public after I dump him. Every lie she fed me, every smirk she hid, I turned into ammo. She thought she'd scripted my ruin, I was rewriting hers. Living with her after that cafe day was a tightrope. I had to play dumb, smile through her lies, while my plan simmered. She came home that night, all breezy, lunch with the girls was fun. Kissing me like nothing was wrong. I nodded, asked about her day, stomach churning as she spun her tale. Giovanni's for our anniversary. She suggested, eyes bright, probably picturing my knee hitting the floor. Great idea, babe, I said, forcing a grin. Let's make it special. She beamed, clueless I'd heard her plot. Her thinking she'd hooked me, me knowing I'd hook her instead. Every touch, every, I love you, was a test I passed, burying the bile rising in my throat. Days ticked by. I'd laugh at her jokes, plan her future, drop hints about rings. She ate it up, texting her friends about the big night, oblivious to my boxes quietly vanishing, books, clothes, stashed in my car. I'd catch her humming, checking her phone, likely dreaming of Cabo with Jason, while I lined up my exit. You're the best, she'd say, and I'd smile, tasting the irony. She'd bragged I was wrapped around her finger, but I was coiling the rope. The act was brutal. Her kisses felt like acid, her lies a weight I carried to keep her blind. I'd lie awake, her breathing soft beside me, replaying her cafa cackle, her pathetic loser jab fueling me to stay steady. She thought she'd choreographed my fall, I was staging hers. And the curtain was about to rise. The trap was meticulous, every detail locked into flip her game. I booked Bella Rosa, that Italian spot she'd hinted at, for Saturday, told her it was special. Watched her eyes gleam with smug certainty. Invite Gladys and Mary, I said, casual, knowing they'd RSVP to witness her triumph. Jacob confirmed Jason would lurk at the bar, ready for the show. She had no clue I'd turned her stage into mine. I printed it all. Screenshots of her with Jason, her texts bragging about dumping me, the cafe recording burned to a drive, and tucked them into a ring box, a fake velvet case from some thrift store. My note inside was short, enjoy Cabo alone. I moved fast. New apartment leased, my stuff trickling out in bags she didn't notice. The lease was mine, she'd bragged about freeloading, so I'd let her feel the weight when I walked. Jacob was my wingman, set to back me at Bella Rosa, ready to step in if she flipped. I rehearsed it. Calm, cold. No cracks. Knowing her scream would echo when I played her words back. The hardest part was holding it together. Her giddy chatter about, or night. Her friends' texts hyping her up. All while I sharpened the blade. She thought she'd scripted my shame, I'd scripted her unraveling. Saturday loomed, my hands steady with anticipation. Not fear, but a dark thrill. She'd laugh last at the cafe, I'd laugh last at Bella Rosa, and she'd never recover from the fall. Bella Rosa buzzed that Saturday. Tables packed, her friends poised with phones as I led her in. Blue suit crisp, her arm looped through mine. She glowed, fidgeting through dessert, waiting for her moment. I stood, wine glass raised. A toast, I said, voice carrying. Her smile widened. Gladys filming. Mary whispering, sure I'd kneel. To Patricia. I began, who's shared my life for 3 years. She preened, then faltered as I added, and Jason's for 8 months. Her face froze. I pulled my phone, hit play. Her cafa voice boomed. I'll brutally dump him after he proposes. Jason's got cabo booked. Silence crashed over us, her laughter from that day now a news. She lipped up, wine glass shattering. You set me up. She shrieked, mascara streaking as the room stared. No. I said steady. You did, I just didn't play your fool. I turned to her friends. Did you know she'd humiliate me? Mary sobbed, Gladys stammered. You don't understand. I do. I cut in, tossing the ring box. Photos, texts, note. Onto the table. Check your phones. Her chats with Jason are live. She lunged for me, Jacob blocked her, calm but firm. You ruined everything. She wailed, voice cracking as the manager escorted her out. Gladys trailing, Mary frozen. I walked past her sobbing on the curb, phone to her ear, probably Jason, and drove off. Her screams faded, my pulse steadied. She'd planned my ruin, I'd staged hers, and the curtain had dropped. Hours later, she was at my door. Banging the intercom, voice hoarse. Brent, please, I'm sorry. I watched from the window, her mascara, smeared face a wreck, but felt nothing. Her cackle still rang louder than her pleas. She'd texted all nights, then begging, until I blocked her. Word spread fast. Screenshots hit our friend group, her recording viral among them. Mary showed up next day pale. I didn't know. She said you were controlling. I handed her the evidence. She lied. Gladys ghosted. The group chat lit up. He's abusive spin drowned by truth. She was alone, her crew crumbling. Jason's wife got the full files, pecs, cafe audio. Courtesy of an anonymous tip. Jacob heard she'd kicked him out, divorce papers filed. His lies to Patricia about leaving, exposed. Patricia called, sobbing. He dumped me. This is your fault. I hung up. She'd built her house of cards, I'd just blown it down. Her stuff sat boxed in my hall. Her sister would grab it, not me. She'd scream for forgiveness, but it was hollow. 3 years of my trust, my home, traded for her ego and a trip she'd never take. I slept that night, not triumphant, but free. Her voice silenced, her shadow gone. She'd gambled on my heart and lost everything. I'd walked away with my dignity, and she couldn't claw it back. Her world imploded in days. Job gone, friends vanished, life unmoored. Jacob relayed the office meltdown. Jason fired for dating a subordinate. Patricia axed after flipping a desk. Screaming, I'd ruined her. Security dragged her out, her threats echoing. Our circle turned. Screenshots of her bragging. He's an idiot. I'll dump him. Torched her victim act. Gladys called her, pathetic at our bar, drink thrown, ban permanent. She cried in the lot. Alone. No one bought her spin, the truth was too loud. She'd given notice at her place, banking on my apartment. Now she couch surfed at her cousin's, jobless, broke her. Better options, a mirage. She showed up at my work, shrieking, I awed her. 3 years. My crew filmed, her ran a local hit online. I didn't flinch. Let her scream, she'd built this grave. Her parents called, voices small. We're ashamed. She wasn't raised like this. I thanked them, hung up. Her mess, not mine. She'd laughed about my Timex, my basic. Now she had nothing. Her cabo dreams dust. I took the ring money, booked a beach trip. Posted pics, her furious texts flooding in. That was ours. I blocked her again. She'd scripted my shame, I'd scripted her fall, and karma finished the job. 2 months later, she was a ghost. Reputation shot, bridges burned. While I stood taller, her ruin a quiet echo of justice I hadn't chased but welcomed. 2 months on. I'm breathing again. Her chaos a fading scar. I met Ramona at that beach spot. Dark eyes, real laugh, a career woman who doesn't play games. We've been dating weeks. She saw Patricia's latest rant. Chuckled. She needs a hobby, and sent her meltdown clip back. Blocked her. I love her spine. Patricia found out, went ballistic. Fake accounts begging, threatening. But it's noise now, not pain. Her parents apologized again, mom weeping. Everyone's seen the videos. Church group gossip, they said. I shrugged, she'd lit that fire. Jason's wife took him for all he had. Divorce brutal. Patricia's prince, a broke liar. She's back with her folks, jobless, friendless, a shadow of her smug self. I'm good, new place, new start, Ramona's hand in mine. Patricia's stuff is gone. Her sister's last glare a footnote. I don't need to. She'd laughed. He's basic. Planned my ruin, I flit it, left her in dust. Karma's sweet. Her life's a wreck she built. Mine's a road I chose. Ramona teases my Timex, says it's vintage cool. We laugh, and it's real. Patricia's threats fade. I'm free not from sadness, but from her weight. She thought she'd break me, I broke her game, and I'm stronger for it. 3 years lost, but what I gained, clarity, peace, someone true, outshines her ashes. She's a lesson, I'm a story still writing. If your partner plots to shatter you, don't bend, strike back, rewrite their ending, like I did when she vowed to dump me mid-proposal. You're not their pawn, their fool. Cut the cord, let them choke on their own lies. I turned her ladder into her ruin, walked away with my head high while she crashed. Jobless, friendless, a cautionary tale. 3 years stung, but I learned. Love's not a game to lose. You've got that fire too. Don't let betrayal chain you. Flip the script, claim your worth, and watch them scramble in the wreckage they made. I'm proof it works. Free now. Thriving, her screams a distant echo. This hit me hard, maybe it hits you too. What would you do if they laughed at your trust? Tell me below, I'm here for it. Share this if it sparks something. Give it a like if you feel the burn, or stick around for more. We've all got stories of breaking loose. Let's keep this rolling, quiet but fierce. Because no one owns your fight but you.